Estonia says it will shoot down Russian jets if they continue to violate its airspace. The country reported Russian fighters entering its airspace without permission last week. It's the latest in that series of incidents of Russian drones and planes entering the airspace of NATO countries. Former foreign correspondent Nicole Johnston spoke with Estonia's foreign minister for ABC Radio, and she joins us now. Nicole, g'day. So the UN Security Council considered this issue of the Russian incursions into NATO airspace just in the last 24, 48 hours. What's come of that? That's
right. Estonia called this emergency meeting of the Security Council. I mean, effectively, they're still really working out what to do, essentially. I mean, Estonia is deeply worried, as are all these Baltic countries, any country with a border with Russia. As you said, it's all happening in the context of increasing tension in the region. We've had these drones above the airspace of Poland, more than 20 of them, drones also over Romania, and then on Saturday, 3 Russian jets for 12 minutes above Estonia's airspace.
Yeah, Putin just seems to be kind of pushing and pushing.
Exactly,
and
pushing the buttons.
Yeah.
Now, the Estonians have said this isn't the first time it's happened, but this time it was much longer, it was much deeper. And then also over the last 24 hours, we had President Trump asked on the sidelines of meeting and sitting down with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky what he thought about the idea of NATO shooting down Russian jets. And he said, yes, they should shoot them down. So I asked the Foreign Minister of Estonia, Margus Tsahkna, what he thought of that comment from President Trump.
The situation was very serious because these planes were just, I can say, seconds away of our capital, Tallinn. And if they could turn in, I think that NATO would have had reacted on a proper way as well. But it is very important that President Trump said very clearly yesterday that if there is a need, NATO will shoot down these planes if they are violating again the NATO airspace. And I think that this is exactly the language that Putin understands. It's a very clear message.
And it just seemed like a 180-degree turn from how Trump has approached this over the last year or so, where he seemed closer to Russia than to the European countries. It was a real switch, wasn't it?
It was a total U-turn. But this is President Trump. We don't know what this really means. He had just had a conversation with the French President, Emmanuel Macron, and then with Zelensky. He came out and said, well, I think the Russians are in trouble. I think their economy is in trouble. So he does seem to be moving on to the side of the Europeans. And as we heard from the Foreign Minister, this is exactly the challenge that Putin is trying to push on them right now. He's trying to divide Europe and the United States. He's putting incredible pressure on that eastern flank. I asked the Foreign Minister of Estonia, we were talking about the issue of this drone wall. I don't know if you've heard about that, Joe.
Just explain what that is.
It's been getting a bit of attention, but not a lot. A $260 billion investment between all of these Baltic countries, as well as Finland, Poland, Bulgaria, any country with a border with Russia. They want to come up with some sort of system whereby they can easily deploy surveillance drones and drones to shoot down these Russian drones, because the big problem that Europe and NATO has is Russia can send these drones that they're getting from the Iranians very cheaply. You know, these drones only cost $5,000, $10,000, $20,000. And what's NATO having to do? They have to scramble military assets. They're sending fighter jets from multiple countries, as well as potentially they could use a missile that would cost, $500,000 to try and shoot down a drone that only costs a few $1,000s. So they know that they need to get these drone assets up and running, and that's another question that I asked the Foreign Minister about.
The drone wall is like military investments that actually we are able to discover all the drones and also take them down, not only by fighters, because fighter jets are very expensive, and also the missiles they are using and rockets. So there is a new technology out, but we are building now, yes, the drone wall between Russia and Europe on the eastern flank, and it needs more investments and also more cooperation with Ukraine, because they are very good on this kind of technology.
And so how do the Estonians feel about Donald Trump in the US?
It's a difficult question. I think, as we were saying, he's a mercurial president. We don't know what he's going to say, what he's going to do. I asked the foreign minister that question, and he made the point, which is a very good point, that there are significant US assets, military assets, as we know, in Europe and on that eastern flank. So there are troops, boots on the ground in Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania and Poland. And he also said that the head of NATO, a US general, is based in Estonia. And that clearly gives them some degree of reassurance, I suppose. But I think one of the strongest lines that I heard from the foreign minister was he said, we are going to see more of these tests. And if they are a direct threat to our security, then NATO will act and we will shoot these planes down. So the language has really ramped up over the last few days, and it's ramped up because they're feeling that support now from President Trump. He said, yes, they should shoot them down. And that would be a major escalation.